Ahoy everyone! Let's start this Mladiinfo podcast. Welcome everyone, thank you for joining us. I am Daniele, I'm from Italy. I'm here in Dolny Kubin to work as a volunteer for Mladiinfo, and we would like to entertain you with some funny podcasts, some interesting info. We are going to talk about many different topics. I really hope you will like it. With me there is my Austrian colleague Anna, and maybe next time also our other Austrian colleague Leoni is gonna join us. So we don't have much time, so let's go directly to today's topic. Of course, since I'm Italian, one of the topic necessarily had to be food. And food is so important for us, not only because it's funny to cook, not only because it's very nice to eat, we love eating many different stuff, but it's something deeply related to our roots and to our culture. For example, when you join with your family during Sunday for having lunch all together, or during holidays when you stay with the whole family, and you can see this cultural aspect of food in many different things. For example, we Western society give a lot of importance also to the look of the food. We really care about the visual aspect, and this is because West is mostly about sight, mostly about aesthetics. If anyone would ask us what is our most important sense, I think we would all answer sight. But this is not the same for all the cultures. For example, the Jews in the Old Testament were a lot about hearing, because in the Old Testament God was considered logos, verb, which means like word, spoken word, and it looked like they could speak with God, not see Him, but speak some way. And while some other cultures, like some African cultures or some Eastern cultures, are a lot about tact, the touch, and you can see this stuff in the eating habits. For example, if you look at some of these cultures, like Indians, it's normal for them to eat all together from the same dish, from the same pot, because that is a way to show your trust and your affection to the people you are eating with. It's not just eating; it's it's relationship. It's just a part of who you are, and it's part of how you express the person you are, and this is very interesting. So, yeah, since food is so much related to our roots and to our culture, this is a very important topic for me. And now I would like to talk to you a little bit about food history. And we can start with the history of the most famous pizza in the world, Pizza Margherita. The history of Pizza Margherita starts in 1989. In that year, the beautiful Margherita of Savoy, the Queen of Italy at that time, was going to visit the south of Italy, and in particular the beautiful city of Naples. While she was visiting Napoli, there was this great chef, Raffaele Esposito, who really wanted to impress the queen, creating a new food for the beautiful queen. And after some experiments, he invented this amazing dish, the pizza margherita. And he had this idea because on the pizza there were represented all the colors of the Italian flag. Green, like basil, white, mozzarella, and red, tomato sauce. And the queen was very, very impressed with this dish, and so this is how now we have the most amazing pizza in the world. But this is not completely true, because it seems it is a legend after all. It seems like there are some older books that actually already mention Pizza Margherita before 1889, and in the end some sort of savory cake has always existed even between Greeks and ancient Romans. And yeah, even though this is only a legend, it's very fascinating and it's nice to know. Maybe there is a little bit of truth in all this, who knows. Even though this was only a legend, I have another very interesting story for you, and this is quite true instead. And it's the story of the Sachertorte, the amazing cake from Austria. The history of Sachertorte begins in 1832. The, the famous Chancellor Clemens von Metternich had some very important guests one day, and he really wanted to impress them with amazing food. So he went to his kitchen and he told everyone, all the chefs, to cook something very nice for the guests. But there was a problem that day. The main pastry chef was sick that day, so the only one in the kitchen was his apprentice, a very young, 16 years old boy named named Franz Hacher, this beautiful, amazing, handsome man. He was only 16 at the time, and he had this very huge responsibility on his shoulders to create a cake that could meet the expectations of the Chancellor von Metternich. So he tried to use everything he could find in the kitchen, and he started with the chocolate, which he really, really loved, and then there was apricot jam, and then some sort of glaze, and in the end he invented the amazing cake we all know, the Sachertorte. But this is only the beginning of the story, because after the creation of this cake, of course he told the recipe to his son, Edward Sacher, and when he was young, his son Edward actually went to work for another place. He didn't work with his father. He went to work for this very, very famous coffee place at the time, Demel. And during this period working in Demel, he actually tried to reply and even to improve his father's recipe, always trying to make this Sachertorte better and better and better. And at some point, he actually started to sell the Sachertorte for Demel. And his father really didn't like this thing because he wanted the original one only for himself. So father and son quarreled for a bit, but in the end they made peace. And in 1876, the son Edward created the created the Hotel Sacher, hotel only for them, where they could sell the original, the one and only Sachertorte. And even though now they had the rights to sell the cake, Demel kept selling it, even though it didn't have all the concession of the creator, Franz Sacher. So yeah, this kept going for a bit, but then in 1929, after some financial crisis, Hotel Sacher started to have some financial problems. It wasn't going very well for them, so something had to be done. And after some years, the son of Edward, Franz Sacher Jr., to keep the hotel living, he actually sold the license to sell the cake to Demel, and he went working for them, selling the new original Sachertorte only for Demel. Thanks to the money gained through this action, after some years, Hotel Sacher was actually able to recover from the loss, and he started making good business again. And in the end, it was able to regain his status of a great hotel, and started selling the Sachertorte again. But of course, Demel now had the rights, but at the same time, maybe Franz Jr. didn't have the authority to to sell the rights, it's a little bit uncertain how the situation was. So in the end, there was a very long lawsuit between Hotel Sacher and Hotel Demel, for which one of them had the license to claim to have the original Sachertorte. And in the end, in 1965, Hotel Sacher won the lawsuit, and it could keep selling the original Sachertorte, while Demel only had the license to sell the original Edward Sachertorte, like the son. And these two hotels still live today in Vienna. Both of them have amazing Sachertorte. If you are in Vienna, I suggest you to try them both. This is the Hotel Sacher nowadays. And the main difference between the two Sachertorte is that in the Sacher one, the original Sacher one, the apricot jam is between two layers of sponge chocolate, while in the Demel version, the apricot jam is actually between the upper layer of chocolate glaze and one layer of sponge chocolate. And there is a sort of correct way to eat the cake, because it's quite dry. It has a lot of sponge chocolate, so it is suggested to eat it with some with whipped cream without sugar, so you can also lower down the amount of sugar, and maybe alongside some sort of drink, usually the melange, which is a sort of cappuccino, I would say, very typical in Vienna. So the history of Sachertorte still lives today, and you can try this wonderful cake in all the Sacher hotel in Austria. There are also Sacher hotels in Innsbruck, in Salzburg, and maybe some other Vienna cities.
Actually, you can eat Sachertorte everywhere in Austria. No!
Anna is from Salzburg, so maybe she can tell you something more about Sachertorte.
Yeah, you can actually eat Sachertorte everywhere in Austria, like, I don't know.
Are they original?
Well, that's another question.
Yeah.
Then. If you want to have really fancy Sachertorte, then you surely have to go to Hotel Sacher or something, but if you want to try Sachertorte, basically every cafe in Austria would have Sachertorte prepared, so yeah.
But they are all fake. Only the Sachertorte with the correct mark on the top, which says Sacher Hotel has the right to sell original Sachertorte. But I'm sure also the other ones are very, very good. So if you are in Vienna, definitely try to go to Demel or to Hotel Sacher.
Or in Salzburg.
For a wonderful Sachertorte. Thank you very much for joining us. I really hope you liked this little podcast, let's say. And we're going to prepare other topics for you for the next weeks. Please stay with us. I really would like to hear something for you. Maybe you can tell something more about Slovakian foods. Thank you again. See you next week. Bye.